Hello and welcome back to RC Modify. I'm Ramon, and today we will be working on the CROBOLL. This is a 1/14 scale, and I had it on one of my previous videos. Basically, I said it's a great handling truck. It's probably one of the best handling trucks. It has a metal chassis. I believe it's the same chassis that you will see in WL Toys. So this is 1/14 scale. RLAARLO is the sister company, so I pretty much, I can't help myself sometimes. I love this truck so much. I bought this one used, bought it on eBay, and I love this truck so much that I went ahead and I bought the RLAARLO brand new in the gray, red, and black. As you can see, I still haven't even put on the window decals yet, but it comes with spare parts, spare arms, your batteries in there. It probably has a second battery inside. No, I think it's just one battery. The rear spoiler is not attached yet. And the wheelie bar. And here's your controller that you would get with this. It's not one of the cheapest, but one of the cheapest trucks, mini trucks out there, but I tell you, it is very well made. I love this thing. And here's the packaging it comes in. It comes very well packed. And I will probably modify this one too, because that's kind of what I do. Modify everything. I don't leave anything alone. Okay, so this will probably be done later on. Let's see how we do with this one. So for starters, I have the motor I'm going to put in. And this motor is a 3300 kV. I think it's a 3650 motor. I will put down the size in the description. And this is a cheap 120 amp ESC. Got this from AliExpress probably. And my receiver is a Noble SM4. And that's what we'll be installing. But before that, let's see how this thing runs on the stock motor, brushless. Well, we're not gonna run it. We're just gonna show you what the wheels look like spinning and see how much they inflate. And pretty much, when I bought this, it didn't even come with a transmitter. I just used one of the other transmitters. The minute you turn this on and turn on the transmitter, it binds. Even though it's a different transmitter, but it was a RLAARLO or a CROBOLL transmitter, so it just binds right up. All right, so here's I mean, it's okay, but you don't see any tire expansion or anything, so you can kind of tell that it's not going to be that fast on 2S. This ESC will actually work on 3S. And actually, I have a 3S battery, which I can show you that. Give me 1 second. Okay, here's a 3S battery. It is a Ovonic 2200 MAH 35C. I have to hold the battery out the way because it's not going to fit. Okay, so here's the CROBOLL 1/14 scale on 3S. It's definitely faster. It's definitely, you can see little tire expansion there. But pretty much, I want this thing to be ridiculous. So that's why I'm going brushless. So right here, we have the brushless motor. And like I said before, you always want to bench test your electronics. You don't want to go through the trouble of installing everything and finding out something doesn't work. So, and you could, you know, just wire them up just like you would do in the car. And plug a battery into them. And for this, I am running my own receiver. So for this, I'm running the Noble. I had to put on my glasses. I can't read this thing. It's so small. All right, for this, I am running the 4GR 4P receiver that binds up to my Noble. All right, so I already have that. I like to hold the motor, keep it from flying off the counter, but let's turn the AC on because that'll help. Okay, right now the fan's blowing on the receiver. We have power. I mean, right now the fan's blowing on the ESC, so we have power. And I already binded the receiver to my transmitter. And if I give it throttle, you can hear the motor running. So that's working. And you can also unplug your, being that we're able to keep the servo, I'm going to leave it right in the car. And I'm going to plug it right in. I'm going to plug in the servo to channel 1. And you can see the plugged in the servo into channel 1. That's already installed in the car. And trying to get my hand out the way here. But yeah, you can see it. Everything appears to be working fine. Ultra fast steering, it looks like. Might be due to the fact that I'm using my own transmitter. But let's turn this off and let's start taking this thing apart.
Signal lost.
Yeah, we know.
Signal lost.
Okay, let's turn you off.
Shutting down.
Yeah. Transmitter, the radio transmitter likes to talk to you. So, all right, so we know everything works. We know everything works. Have some tools here that I think should hopefully cover everything we need. And let's take this thing apart. All right. First, I'm taking off the ESC, get that out the way. And I lost it. Okay guys, I brought in the camera closer. Hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing. I already undid the screws for the ESC. You have a little wire for the lights that needs to be disconnected. Now you got the two leads for the motor. Just unplug them. And here's the little and here's the little ESC. All right, this ESC, you can use it on a crawler, something else. It's not a bad little ESC. Just can't do brushless. Okay, that's my receiver that I'm putting in. And now we have to undo this brace that goes across the top. That holds in your that holds in the shroud that goes around the motor. So in order to get the motor out, you have to undo this brace first. Remember to keep track of where you took the screws out, what holes you took the screws out, because they are different size screws. Oops. All right. Okay, those are the 4 screws removed. There were 2 and 2. And I think I was looking for this screw. This was the screw for the ESC. All right, move that one to the side because we won't be using that one. Okay, here's your drive shaft and here's your spur. Remove the shroud. And you will need to remove this little plastic piece here. It's gonna have to come out because that's where your notch is for your motor mount. And we'll be turning the motor sideways and getting it out, but this has to come off. So set that to the side. All right, there should be 2 screws on the bottom for the motor. Just try to, like, you have to try to make sure they, like when you're looking at the screws, trying to figure out which ones they are, they'll line up with the, kind of like the center line of the motor mount. So if I'm looking at the motor mount right there, and I wish I had a little bit more light for you guys, but if you look at the motor mount right there, just do a center line. You know it's not the first one that holds this plastic side guard, so it's these 2 here. Those 2 are your motor mount screws, so let's get those. Okay, so now, oh, I forgot about that. Your battery, part of your battery tray actually doesn't let you spin the motor mount around. So you're going to have to undo a couple more screws here. So, I believe it's this one. And this one. Okay, so actually they pretty much line up. Your motor mount screws and your battery tray screws you have to remove are these 4 going across. So you remove those. Here's your part of your battery tray. And now this motor will remove the heat sink. Now the motor comes right out. Just spin it off to the side, it comes right out. Now the hard part is usually getting the screws off the motor and getting the pinion gear off. I bought a tool here for the pinion gear, but the notch is too small. So I'll be right back. I have to make this opening on the tool a little wider, and I'll apply some heat to the grub screw on the pinion, and I'll apply some heat on the screws on the motor to make sure they loosen up, because these are put on with Loctite from the factory and they don't come off that well. All right. Okay, guys, so pretty much if this is something you guys feel like you guys want to take on, you are going to need to invest in a little butane torch or whatever these are. You can find them anywhere. Amazon. This one is Hamit is the one that makes this one. They're cheap. They can't even be 20 bucks. But you will fight or strip out your little grub screw that's right there if you do not apply heat to it first. And also these motor mount screws, they're locked tight on too, so you want to apply heat to them before you go and remove them so you're not stripping them out. So basically, here's the torch. You just hold it there enough to heat up the Loctite that was previously on there and melt that, and your screw will come right out. I already heated this one up, but here's the grub screw that you want to remove. And here is the little puller I was using. Well, I wanted to use, but it didn't quite fit. It didn't quite fit the pinion gear. The pinion gear's neck is too thick. So I had to grind this down to make it fit. I bought this. I can put down links to these to a torch and to this tool that I use. Or actually this is the first time using. But you have to grind down enough to where when your pinion sits in there, it lines up good enough with the center of this shaft that's going to be making pressure, because you want that shaft to line up in the center of the pinion, because that's going to be pushing on the motor shaft while you pull up on the pinion itself with the tool. So you want as close fitment as you want as possible. Try not to grind too much because you're weakening the tool. But let's see how this works. First time using it. Look at that. That's awesome, because honestly, I've destroyed some of these 550 motors just trying to get the pinion off. And or I've stripped out the grub screw by not applying heat. And then I'm pretty much stuck because I can't get the pinion off. And the grub screw is you can't back them out. So this tool is definitely worth it. The little torch is definitely worth it. And all right, let me get the motor mount screws off and we can proceed. Hopefully this screw tip is not too big. Nope, let me get a different screwdriver head. Okay, so I already applied heat. The Loctite that was on the screws is soft, so you can pretty much back these right out. I'll tell you, the first time I tried this, did not try heat. I fought for a motor mount, fought with a motor mount for about probably an hour and a half. I was pissed. I ended up destroying the motor mount. You always want to apply heat. Trust me. Take my word for it. I like to learn from my mistakes or from others' mistakes. And if, hopefully you guys do learn something. If not, or if you guys have better ways, I'm always open to change too. So if you guys have better ways of doing it, Okay. So my grub screw is still on my bit. Here's the pinion. Here's the motor. When you're putting your motor in, you always want to pay attention to which way you want your wires to end up. Sometimes, you know, you screw it on into your motor mount and it's sticking out here to the side. It's going to make your body bulge out to the side. And sometimes if you line it up, you kind of, whichever way is going to work for you. But I like to try to, I guess on this application, I'm going to make the wires probably face up. Great thing about these trucks is they have plenty of room under the body. So you can actually go crazy with them. You can stick a, you know, you could stick a huge 200 amp ESC if you wanted to under there. There's plenty of room. Okay, now that we know which way we want that motor to go, you make sure you have your motor mount in the correct position. The dimples are going to face away from the motor. And with luck, this thing lines up perfectly at a lot of the holes. So this is going to be simple. Yeah, that should be. Yep. Wait, hold on. Okay, I did a like a dry fit. I'm gonna put the wire straight up because it is actually gonna allow the ESC that I have will fit right into where the factory ESC was, and the motor will not interfere with the install of the ESC. So that's why I'm gonna go straight vertical pretty much on the wires. So let's get those in. I want to use those holes and okay, whenever you're doing screws into metal, you want to use Loctite. Oh. There we go. I cheated. It's already Loctite on the screw. All right. Okay, let me tighten those up. Now I have no clue what this motor is going to do in this car. Hopefully it has enough torque because it is a truck. Like I said, it's a 3300 kV motor. It says 12 turn, so by all means it should be enough. But alright, so to get it back in, you want to turn it sideways and slide right underneath the bearing, line it up with the bearing. And whoop, sorry about that. I got to put the pinion on. Okay guys, screws are all tight. We're going to put the pinion on. Okay, we're checking to see how the pinion lines up before we go tightening it up. I want it to be dead on. The spur is a plastic spur, so I want to be careful that I am not, that the pinion isn't halfway on, the spur halfway off, because that can't be good. Okay, that's looking good. All right, let's get some Loctite on the spur, on the grub screw, and get that on. So just a little dab. Okay guys, be careful when you're tightening up your grub screw on your pinion, because it is easy to strip them, especially if you are in need of a new hex bit. But now the pinion's on. Pinion's on, everything lines up, we can start screwing this thing back together. So we want to flip it over, and we want to do the motor mount. We want to do the 2 screws for the motor mount, and then do the screws for the battery guard. You're going to be using Loctite on the 2 screws for the motor mount. Okay, now that you have your motor installed in place, now you want to put your battery tray bracket back on, and that can be a pain because you have to wrestle around with the battery strap. But well, it's really not that bad of a pain. We'll see. Oh, also, I forgot to mention that on this truck, the battery compartment is expandable. I moved the front battery bracket up to the 2 forward screws. So right here, you'll see that's where the battery bracket was screwed into at first, so it was only half the size. So you remove those screws and you slide up the bracket, the front part of the tray, you slide it up and you screw it there. It's a little tough because when I did it, I did have to fight with the strap. The strap kind of, there is a little metal rod that sticks up and it kind of gets in your way. But you can with no issues. So you can actually fit much larger batteries. If you can see, that's where it ends up. Before it was stopping right there where my finger is. So that was quite small. All right, so now motor's in, pinions in. We can put the little black little plastic piece back on. And the little shroud goes on, little plastic shroud. Okay, that's back on. And now we can screw back on the big center brace. Okay. So, I mean, sometimes here and there you'll see tools pop up on my work table here. Magically appear. That's because I do edit these videos. So if you see something that wasn't there a minute ago, it's because I probably cut a piece of the video. I wanted to say, for all you parents out there, letting your kids get into RC cars is definitely a great hobby. I learned a lot of my technical skills from working on RC cars and model cars, to the point where my first job, well, actually my second job, I worked for an appliance company on the pickup and delivery team, and somehow I ended up getting into the appliance repair, but I never even went to school for it. I ended up working on air conditioning and everything else, and it was because I was always tinkering, taking stuff apart, building stuff, modifying stuff. So getting your kids into, you know, RC cars, model cars is definitely great, because it's very rare that I actually call any type of technician into my house. I choose what I want to work on. A lot of times I'll have somebody come out here, they give me a quote, and you know, and I right then and there I'm like, I'm not going to pay that much. I'll just fix it myself. So if they get into, you know, working on RCs, anything fun like that, you know, it's fun for them, and they learn a technical skill. You'd be surprised how close the differentials in these cars, sometimes the transmissions, the suspensions are to an actual real car. So you end up gaining a great amount of knowledge from messing around with these things. So I do recommend letting your kids get into it. If they're not, you know, into it, get them a brushless car. Because if you did get them an RC in the past and you got them the wrong RC, they'll get bored with it very fast. But we have now RC cars that are doing over 200 miles per hour. And trust me, you're driving something close to 200 miles per hour, it's exhilarating. So, you know, do your research, get them the right RC car, let them get into it. There's tons of stuff out there that you can do hop-ups on, modify them, customize them, make them your own. I definitely recommend this hobby. All right, let's get a alcohol wipe. Also, I buy my alcohol wipes in a box. I can show you the box. I just buy a box of these alcohol wipes. They're Curade. I got them from Amazon, 100 count. Trust me, doing this kind of stuff, you'll need it. And also, it comes in handy for boo-boos. So, you get a scrape, you get a cut. You will, the other day, what was I doing? I was trying to, trying to install IC3 connectors on an ESC and fighting to get the old ones off. I must have jabbed my fingers a couple times. So you know, you can have a box of 100 count and that should suit you for a while. Not sure where I want to stick the receiver at yet, but let's just clean up the possible places. We already know all our electronics work, so we're really close to being done. Oh, by the way, make sure you also wipe the bottom of your electronic pieces. We want to give the double-sided tape the best chance in the world for it to stick. So make sure you wipe everything you're using. Anywhere the double-sided tape is going to come in contact with. Okay, so here's the double-sided tape we're going to use. It's just, I believe, 3M double-sided tape. I need to actually get bigger double-sided tape, but it's what I have at the moment, so that's what we're using. Okay, so double-sided tape is on, and there's the little cheap 120 amp ESC. Hopefully it holds up. I tried using one of these ESCs before. I bought, they were really cheap, so I bought like 3 or 4 at a time. They were extremely cheap. I was building a speed run 1/14 scale car, and the motor that I'm using for that, I believe it's 7,700 kVs or 7,700 kVs. And I just squeezed the trigger a hair and the ESC went up in smoke. That was running on 3S, so that did not work out too well. So so we're keeping our fingers crossed on this, and I'm prepared to change the ESC if it goes up in smoke, but I want to actually try to use them. I decided to use it because it is very similar. That comes in a lot of these other cars when they come brushless. They use a very similar ESC, and figured, you know, give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, the worst thing that could happen is whole car can go up in smoke, but give it a shot anyway. Yeah, as you can tell, the body mounts on this truck they're so tall, so you have tons of space. So I'm just going to mount the receiver right here in the back. And this is not completely flat. This is not completely flat right here. I don't know if you can tell. So I am going to put a piece of double-sided tape on the ESC and right here on the bottom. So hopefully it should stick. The receiver is really light. It shouldn't go anywhere. Okay, so I'm sticking a piece of double-sided tape behind the ESC. the electronic speed control for people that don't know. Probably should have cut that down a little. If you leave it too, I cut down the double-sided tape because if you leave it too big, it's just going to be a dirt magnet. So any edges that stick above, and it's just going to collect dirt. And all my cars usually end up on the beach, so I want to keep sand and dirt. Be able to get the sand and dirt out easily. It is double-sided tape to the cross brace or the chassis stiffener, I guess that piece would be called. And it is double-sided tape to the electronic speed control. So that shouldn't go anywhere. And now let me plug in the electronic speed controller. And I still have to mount the on and off switch and the little mini capacitor. All right, so everything's in the car, except for the body. But let's clean this up. Let's connect the battery to it. Okay. Battery did not want to fit. But like I said, there's tons of space underneath this chassis. So you can just put the ESC somewhere else if you don't like it there. If you want to run bigger batteries, you could prop up the batteries and put them sideways. But let's see. I had to reverse the servo in my radio, which this radio is very easy to do. Basically, you have a reverse option. So, and when you click on the reverse option, see how it says steering? You could choose nor or reverse. So that was easy change. So I thought it was that I had put my wires backwards, but when you reverse the wires, nothing happens. So it's obviously wasn't backwards. So I put them back the way they were, and I went to my radio and I changed it on my radio. Now, I don't have the body on yet because I still need to zip tie stuff, but it seems like there's a little delay in the throttle, which I can probably adjust the punch, but you could definitely see that this thing is a lot faster. I mean, you should be able to see a lot more tire expansion, a lot more rotation out of this. It's almost scary, and that's just the little 2S battery that comes with a lot of these cars. That's not even a good 2S battery. Matter of fact, I'm going to try a different battery. Hold on for 1 second. Wow, this battery even fits in there a lot better. Okay. I'm kind of scared where I put my hands at on this thing. Might lose some skin. That is still on 2S. And I'm almost I think we'll try see how it feels on 3S. Yeah, I might have to relocate that ESC, but the car's converted. I might have to relocate that ESC or just change out the ESC altogether. But all right, now it's gonna sound different when we turn it on. It's a lot louder. You can hear those chirps. This is on 3S. I'm almost scared for my hands, or I probably should be wearing some protection. Holy moly. I don't know if you guys can see that, is that coming through on the camera, but oh my God. That's that's definitely gonna rip on 3S. It's like I still have to button stuff up, realign some stuff, but overall the wiring, the installing of the motor, everything stays the same. It's just whether I it's whether or not I relocate the ESC to somewhere else in the chassis to allow the batteries to fit better. But apart from that, everything's wired up, and I have to see also if there is adjustment on the ESC to change the punch levels. If not, I can always just change the ESC out to something a little bit better, especially being that I think this thing's really going to rip. And in the meantime, I mean, RLAARLO doesn't make a brushless version of this truck, so this is the way. If you want to make one of these brushless, you have to make it yourself. I'm sure that if they see this video, eventually they'll start making a brushless version, or it might be already in the works, and you can wait for that and pay more money, or you can have fun building one yourself. My next build, well, I'll button this up and I'll show it when it's buttoned up, and I'll probably do a run test on it, see how it does. Might do 2 and 3S, but I want to be able to fit my batteries in there a little better. The next build I'll be doing is my Creighton EXB 8S. I have all my electronics in, but I just realized that it comes with a 39 tooth spur gear. It comes with a 39 tooth spur gear, and so I went ahead and ordered a 39 tooth pinion because I want to run 1-to-1, being that my motor is a 780 kV motor, so it's going to have tons of torque. So it should be fine with 1-to-1 gears. So I believe that gear arrives today, but I won't have time to do it probably today or for a couple days. So that's my next build. Until then, if I work on anything else, I'll put it up on YouTube if I work on anything else. I'm kind of sporadic. I have lots of projects, and these are all my own projects. They're nobody, they're not. I'm not doing anything for anybody else. I'm just building my own stuff right now. Having fun with it. The CROBOLL on 2 and 3S. That's how it will run. That's how you do it. But yeah, I know I have to zip tie everything and button it up. But like I said, I want to make sure I could get batteries. I mean, I have a 2S that'll drop right in there, but I want to be able to fit a 3S. So if I don't have a 3S that is thinner, or I could just find a 3S, I could probably find one that'll drop right in there. But that'll determine. I'm going to look around, see if they make a 3S that's thinner, that fits this battery tray. If not, I might relocate the ESC. And also, like I said, there was a delay on this ESC, so I want to look at the punch settings. But till then, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.